Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conscious Conversations. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm the founder of the Transformation Center based in Westport, Connecticut. And at the center, in addition to the individual coaching for transformation sessions and the shamanic energy healing sessions I do, we also offer a variety of workshops, classes. We even have sound baths in the backyard where our labyrinth is when the weather's nice. So I'm going to put up our slide and you can check it out the website because all the events are listed on there. And you can register online. Yeah, there we go, transformationcenterct.com. And, we're always interested in hearing from you because really the center is all about helping you to discover who you truly are, to let go of your limiting beliefs, transform your life, really consciously create a life that you love. So that's what it's all about. So I look forward to hearing from you. And I'm very excited today on Conscious Conversations that my guest is Sara Joy Fishkin. Welcome to the show, Sara.
Thank you, Katie. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is the first time we've met. So I'm just getting to know Sara, and I'm so excited because you're going to get to know her today as well. And I'm going to read just a little bit about her before we get started and put up her slide so you can find out more about her, how to contact her. All right, there we go. So Sara Joy Fishkin is a prosperity coach. She's a mindset mentor and a spiritual guide who supports people, primarily women, to transform their lives for the better by transforming their own conditioned consciousness. She is a certified consultant with Bob Proctor's Proctor Gallagher Institute, and she facilitates his world-renowned program. It's called Thinking into Results. We're going to find out all about that shortly. And Sara helps people understand how to deliberately use the innate creative power of their subconscious minds to manifest the life that they desire. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. So that's fulfilling their true purpose in life as joyful intermediaries between heaven and earth. I love the way you say that, Sara.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is so cool. I want you to elaborate on that, but
Mhm.
first, I just want to start with how did you get into this kind of business in the first place? How did it all start?
Yeah, well, that is a very good question. And I was thinking about that before I came onto this call because I knew we were going to talk about this. And I was reflecting on my journey and my path. And I realized, you know, it took me about 20 years to get to this point. And the journey was one in which I was really seeking from a very young age to understand who I really was and to be able to bring the ideas in my mind into physical form. But I was really quite stuck for a long time. And it was that stuckness that was constantly prompting me to seek. So I studied with various meditation teachers. I studied various healing modalities, different forms of body work, herbal medicine, shamanic healing, you name it. I was on the path. I was on a quest to find the answer to something that I didn't even really know how to formulate for myself. But if I could put it into the most simplest words, it was like, how do I get unstuck and live a life that feels free? And how do I bridge this deep feeling of knowing that I'm much greater than who you know, my name, my body, who everyone thinks I am? But how do I translate my spiritual understanding into my physical life? Because my physical life was a mess. I was really quite limited in my finances. My relationships were really challenging. I'm divorced now as of almost 8 years. So I was a divorced mother raising my 3 young children on my own with a lot of financial pressure and doing things with my day-to-day life that I did not enjoy. So I was just, I was a landscape gardener. I love gardening. I always had a vision of creating a center, a healing center where there's a lot of interaction with nature, but I didn't know how to take that vision and do it. So I settled and I was pulling weeds from the cracks between people's pavers and their patios, checking the time on my watch and just waiting for the time to be over so I could bill them and get paid and go home and be with my kids. And it was like, this is not right. And I just was seeking and really hit a wall when I found a property around here that I really was the first property that I could say, I would love to create this center, this place on the property. And I had no money to buy it. And somebody else, of course, snatched it up. And I just felt devastated. And I really hit the bottom of feeling like, you know what? If something doesn't change soon, I don't even know, honestly, if I want to be here on this planet. And I would never do that because I'm a mother and it's not, but it was that feeling of like, why am I here? And then my prayers were answered in a very unexpected way. My partner was doing a free 5-day course with Bob Proctor through his Proctor Gallagher Institute. And she said, well, maybe you want to join me. And I just signed up because it was free. And I just started attending the sessions. And as he was speaking, everything in me just woke up to realize this was the missing piece. He had a missing piece that I needed. And so I just jumped in. I dove right in head first, signing up to be trained in his Thinking into Results program, and also simultaneously to be trained to teach it to others. I just went in whole hog. And that was about 3 years ago when I did that. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, Sarah. But you know how it does, it's like when you're ready, it does come. I mean, whatever we need, and because you were preparing yourself, you weren't just all of a sudden this happened. You had been thinking about it, praying for it,
Mm-hmm.
really probably doing what you teach people to do now is what you were doing.
Unconsciously, yes, for decades. That's what I realized as I was getting ready to get on this call. It wasn't just something that happened 3 years
Mhm.
ago. It was a path leading up to it, a long period of seeking. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that's, I mean, once that happens, in my experience, once we find something that kind of answers our prayers and gives us the path to fulfilling life, then that's when we do want it for others. We realize that, yeah, if we can do this, then so can anyone, right?
Exactly. And that was the thing that I realized also was that beyond just improving my finances and my relationships and all those things I wanted, if you were to ask me along that path that I was on at any given time, what was it that I really wanted? All I really wanted was to know what my purpose here was so that I could do it and be of service. And it felt like I never felt like it clicked until I got into this work, because this work helps people to discover their purpose. And so my purpose is to help other people discover their purpose. And that's also quite beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. I
Mhm.
can totally relate to that. And one thing that I learned over the years was if we can somehow align our personal will to the will of the divine, and so we can work through that, then everything just is aligned. Everything starts to work better. We're happier. Everybody around us is happier, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So it sounds like that's unconsciously you were searching for that, and that's how it worked out. Well,
Exactly.
that and that now what I love about our work, because it sounds like we did kind of similar stuff, is that now you can do this consciously.
Exactly.
You want to talk about that a little bit, how much easier it is when you consciously create what you want?
Oh, geez. Yeah. I don't even know. Let's see. How do I even begin? Well, so yeah, so the missing piece that
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it was, but that I found through this work particularly this Thinking into Results program. The missing piece was understanding my own mind, and particularly what my own creative power is and where it resides. Because what was my biggest challenge is that I was conditioned growing up in school and through everyone around me to just use my intellectual mind. And I had this understanding that that was the creative part of myself, that whatever I think intellectually is, when people say your thoughts create your reality, I thought it was that. So I didn't understand, okay, well, I know that I want greater prosperity, for example, or better relationships. So why is it not happening? And what Bob taught me was that that's not the creative part of myself. The creative part of myself is my subconscious mind. And what I came to understand is that we are each, even though we seem to be individuals, but we're individual expressions of one divine, intelligent, creative power. And the way I like to look at it, and the way that I coach my clients, to just because it helps to have metaphors to understand, the subconscious mind is like a satellite extension of that universal mind. And so whatever I believe and feel to be true there, because it is the presence of the divine creative power in me, expressing itself through me, whatever I believe there will come into form effortlessly, automatically. So the alignment part, though, is getting our conscious mind, the intellectual mind, the part of us that knows, to be in harmony with that part of us that feels. And that was the part I was missing. So I knew I wanted greater prosperity and more fulfilling relationships, but the creative part of myself had all these limiting programs of that's not possible, lack, limitation. My programming for relationships was just, oh, relationships are hard, difficult, very difficult. That's what relationship was to me, my patterning growing up. And so even though consciously I was like, oh, I'm really easy to get along with, like subconsciously, no, relationships are hard. So I was compelled to act in a way that caused a lot of difficulty in relationships. And so when you learn how to harmonize those two parts, that's the alignment. And then it's just effortless, because we are really just the vessels through which this creative power flows. And typically, and the creative power itself is all good. It is pure prosperity. It is pure love. It is pure vitality. And so we actually have to work a lot harder to make it difficult. But when we align those two, then it's just that natural state of life, which is good, can manifest through us, and things become quite easy. Once we change that program, it's like we have to change the filter through which the power's flowing. So yeah, that's what alignment means to me. It's aligning those two parts of our own consciousness to be in harmony. And they work in very different ways. I didn't understand any of it. And for me, this was all very refreshing, because I had been coming at spirituality from a different angle, which is all quite beautiful. But this actually gave me more of a practical, almost scientific way of dealing with myself, which was quite refreshing, understanding how these two parts work and then working with them in that way so that the flow can flow.
Yeah. That is a beautiful description of how it works, Sarah. Yes, I think if everybody could hear that, our jobs would be done, right?
Right.
I mean, hear it and really get it, because it does take, one thing about being in your mind is that you're not really you're not really getting it. It's just like it's up here. It's more like if you can experience it, if it's experiential, then I think then we start to understand it or believe it or, embrace it, whatever that is. And it sounds like that's what you did. One of my spiritual teachers used to say, just in a simplistic way, just make best friends with your mind.
Mm. Mhm.
That's an easy thing to say to people that helps them just a little glimmer that you aren't your mind.
Nope.
There's
No,
so much more. And I love the way you make the spirituality practical because I think it is true. I think it is scientific. I really do.
it is. Science and spirituality are two aspects of the same thing.
Yes.
I mean, they're both describing one thing. It's a process. So you can talk about it in spiritual terms and you can talk about it in scientific terms, but you're still talking about the same process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, the title of your thinking into results. Yeah. So I mean, in a way, it's all about the results,
It is.
the outcome, because once you see that, then you have evidence, and I love that, your subconscious mind, yeah, once it starts, believing what's true instead of all these untrue limiting beliefs, then it can see the evidence.
Yes. Yes. And what Bob taught me, he said, because I was at the beginning, I was like, okay, so there are these beliefs that are running the show. I can accept that. But how do I know what those beliefs are if they're subconscious, if I'm not conscious of them? And he said, just look at your life. He said, most people are looking at their lives as the cause of how they're feeling. But actually, your life is the effect, is the outcome, is the reflection of everything you have accepted to be true. So if you're not sure what that is, he said, just look around. He said, your results never lie. They always tell the truth. They are the evidence of your beliefs. And I hadn't been looking at my life like that. So I love the title of his program, Thinking into Results, because most people, myself included for many, many, many years, are constantly engaged in results driven thinking. So they look at what's going on and they react to that all the time. And that reaction is causing thoughts, which trigger feelings, which then trigger the same
It's
outcomes
like a
to keep
loop. Yeah.
repeating.
Like a
Yes,
loop.
it's a cycle. That's why I was stuck for a couple decades, writing about the same things over and over again in my journals that I wanted to do, but not actually seeing them show up in my physical life. And so what he taught me to do was disengage from my current results. He said, your current results are actually the past.
Right.
It's the result of your past thinking and feeling. So you have to take your attention back into your inner world and ask yourself, what do I want? What does it look like, feel like, taste like, smell like, to have that now, and start to train my mind to generate all of my thoughts and feelings from that new point of focus. And then that will be what shows up. And at first I was like, that's crazy. But then he said, just look around, like everything in your world, your phone, your jar of water, your clock. If you can't look around your room and find anything that didn't first begin as an idea in someone's mind.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
can't find a single thing.
Yeah. It's true.
And
That's where it
that
starts.
proved to me that my ideas, my thoughts do become things. And I need to take my attention off of what I don't want and get to the level of cause on the inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Because if we're not really aware of that, it sounds kind of like woo-woo or something. But what I tell people, if you're not consciously creating what you want, then you're unconsciously creating what you don't want.
Exactly.
But it's
100%.
unconscious.
It's unconscious and it's very, very, very sneaky.
Yes, I know. Did you ever read that book called The Map by Bonnie Lonsberry? Have you
No,
heard of
but
it?
I could almost see it in my mind for some reason. So maybe I have seen it, but I haven't read it. No.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I taught a class on it about a year ago. It's all about consciously creating the life that you love. So I mean, basically everything that you're saying
Mhm.
is what she kind of discovered, and now she's helping other people by writing this book, and it's like getting it to that point where it's almost like a well, it's a blueprint,
Right.
so people, but I tell you what, it's not easy to do this on your own.
No, because the tricky thing is that we are, I forget the exact statistic, but we are over 95% habitual, all of our behavior, pretty much, and our thoughts, feelings, and actions is 90 to 95% automatic, habitual. And the subconscious mind has exclusive control over our habitual behavior. So if you think about that, 90 to 95% of everything we're thinking, feeling, and doing is on automatic. And there's a part of ourselves controlling that we have we have a difficult time seeing, because it's woven into the fabric of every single aspect of who we feel ourselves to be. It's in every cell of our body. So how do I had to update my phone this morning. It didn't update itself. I had to say yes, or it had to be plugged in and prepared to be updated automatically. But there's how to do that on your own is not, I wouldn't say impossible, but very, very difficult, because it's very difficult to see yourself clearly.
Yes, no, I think that's the distinction, is we can't, we're just not built that way. I mean, it takes some training, and yes, then you can notice your thoughts, notice your feelings, all of that. But you're right, it's so intertwined in who we are that it's not obvious at all.
Yes,
So I think that's why we need coaches and people to point this out to us and help us. And then once you're more aware, then you can gradually start to do it.
absolutely. Yes. Over time, when you gain, it's like building muscles at the gym. There are these mental muscles that we have to develop. We have to develop the ability of discernment and the
Mm.
ability to recognize, oh, that's a limiting negative belief that's just entered my field and is causing me to have these feelings and thoughts. And I completely reject that. Like, we have to develop that strength to say, no, that is completely false. I completely reject that. And then to be able to affirm strongly what the truth is, and to get into the vibration of that, and to stay there. That takes some time, but when you build those muscles with your higher mental faculties, then you can set off on your own and be able to course correct and navigate for yourself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's a lifelong, I don't know if I will ever want to be completely on my own. I enjoy and really benefit from having teachers and mentors and guides ongoing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's never ending, and there's always something new to learn.
Yes.
Um, yeah, because it's just life, and that's the beauty of being human, is we're here to learn.
Yeah. And I think before we go any further, if you don't mind, I do think I would love, I know we have a time limit, but I would love to really briefly talk about that being the intermediaries between heaven and earth.
Yes, please.
Because I used to say, well, what is the point of what I want? Why does what I want matter? And I really dismissed it a lot, because look at the state of the world, and look at that person. They don't have even half of what I have. And look at all this suffering. And I I had a habit of dismissing what I wanted, because I felt like, well, shouldn't that already be enough? Because look, they don't even have that. And what I've come to realize is that we are as I said earlier, as expressions of this divine creative intelligence, itself, what it's doing is continually expanding and expressing itself. And it has these divine, primal, essential qualities, which are love, vitality, abundance, beauty, or you could say creative expression, joy. Those are its natural qualities. And so the desires that each person individually feels is the unique way in which that intelligence is seeking to expand and express those qualities through each person. We don't individually create anything. We are just the vehicles through which this process of expansion and fuller expression is happening. So we are constantly receiving from, I mean, when I say from heaven, I don't mean that it's a different place. We're constantly receiving from this infinite divine intelligence all of the power, and it's moving through us and then expressing itself in physicality here on earth. So we literally are the juncture between the divine and its expression in physical form. It's all one thing, but it's happening through us. So when we dismiss our desires, we're actually blocking that. People say, well, where's the Aquarian age? Like, why hasn't it here yet? Aren't we supposed to be in this age of light and beauty? And astrology says it's here. And they're like, well, why does everything look so terrible? And it's like, well, first of all, the physical is the very last thing to show up. But second of all, each and every person needs to allow this goodness to flow through them. And it actually starts by embracing and claiming what you really, really want, recognizing it's the unique way in which this divinity is seeking expression into form. So I tell my clients, I'm like, if you can't yet do it for yourself, do it for the divine, do it for the greater whole. Just vow to be the vehicle, the channel through which it's flowing. So just open up the flow for the sake of everybody. If you can't yet claim it just for your individual self.
That's beautiful. That's very, very powerful.
Yeah, and it changed everything for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. I really have not heard it quite expressed like that, Sarah. It's like spot on as far as I'm concerned. And I hope that you will, get the word out there more, because you're doing a great job already, but just hearing you talk is just it's profound. So I really
Thank you.
so happy
Thank
to
you.
have this opportunity to talk to you about it, because ooh, it's so important. And yeah, that's great. So I know that, you teach classes, you work with people individually like I do. So tell me more about how that works.
Okay, yes. So I do have ongoing, I try to teach, I try to offer some kind of free class to the public as often as possible. And I do have one coming up August 8th, 9th, and 10th. I decided to do 3 sessions because I often come to this point where I'm like, geez, the time's over and I've just gotten started. So this time I've given myself 3 days. It's August 8th, 9th, and 10th, 11 to 12:30 p.m. And I've called it Be Her Now. And my daughter came and she said, Mom, you have a typo. You should say Be Here Now. And I said, no, it's actually her. Because what I want people to understand, and we're going to get into this in great detail during this free class, is that in order, we always, one of the laws, I like to talk about the universal laws that are operating. And one of them is basically, I'll sum it up in my own words, we don't get a match in life, in physical form, to what we want. We always get a match to who we are being. Because there's a law of vibration, which is primary to the law of attraction. And it basically states that you can only ever experience a match with that which is in vibrational harmony with yourself. And so you cannot manifest more prosperity and be constantly worried about money. You cannot manifest more loving relationships and be constantly insecure about your own self-worth. And so you have to learn how to be in thought, feeling, and action, the person with your goal or your dream already achieved. And so my 3-day class is going to be all about that. First, we're going to clarify who we really are, which is that big universal I am. And then we're going to understand that there's a concept of ourselves that we've acquired. And that's the part that we need to upgrade to match our goals. So that's
Cool.
it's a 3-part class. That's in August.
All right. And people can just register on your website. I'm going to put that up
You
again.
can go to my website. There's a big button that says register for classes, and
Okay.
you can go there and register.
Right. Well,
And then ongoing, I lead people through a 6-month, some people stay for 12 months, but it starts off with a 6-month program where I lead people through Bob Proctor's Thinking into Results program, combined with my own particular way of guiding and mentoring and coaching. And so this is coming up in September. Right now, my program is on a rolling admission. You can join anytime, and you will be going through your lessons wherever you are. And we have weekly 2 calls a week as a group. But in September, my plan is to start a whole group together to go through their lessons together.
Yes, so they can meet each other. Well, that sounds wonderful. And unfortunately, we're just running out of time. I know there's so much to talk about. Thank you so much for being here. It was really super meeting you and talking with you. And we'll
Thank
be in
you
touch.
so much, Katie.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Namaste.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Namaste. Bye-bye.